Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on KREM 2 News First at 4. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
It is good to have you with us. I'm Tom Sherry.
It is America Recycles Day, and Spokane has quite a few options on where to drop off your old items.
Brandon Jones spoke with one of them today and has a breakdown of what's reusable and what's not.
All right, so it's World Recycle Day, and my man Jim right here has 40 years of experience in recyclables. He just showed me around, and you'd be surprised how many things can actually be reused. The challenge is figuring out what to do with those old recyclables when you're done with them. Places like Earthworks Recycling in Spokane collect a little bit of everything.
Well, literally tons and tons and tons of stuff.
All things metal, cardboard, and paper are hot commodities for Earthworks. Plastic bottles are a go as long as they're rinsed out. You can even find chimes from the oldest church in Spokane coming through this facility to be reused.
We encourage everybody to have it sorted when it comes in, unlike, say, your blue bin where you just mix everything together, throw glass in, you know, it's all churned up and mixed together.
Glass bottles and jars are not accepted. Jim tells me that's because glass is a sand substitute. It's more expensive to break down. There isn't a location in Spokane County to dump glass, but that doesn't mean you have to stop placing it in your curbside bin. Once it gets to the recycling plant, it'll just be separated from the reusable material.
When we first started taking glass back in the 80s, we actually paid 2 cents a pound for it. And then it's kind of went downhill since then, where we're actually charging about 10 cents a pound to take it, and even that outlet dried up.
Electronics such as TVs are accepted, as well as wood waste like junk pallets. In Spokane, Brandon Jones, KREM 2 News.
Also want to let you know the city of Spokane begins its official snow season today. When it snows, even if it's just an inch or two, crews will plow all the streets, including residential streets. During a larger snowfall of 4 inches of snow or more, crews still will move to a 24/7 operations to complete a full city plow with the goal of completing that work in 3 days.
And because they're going to plow even after light snowfalls, they're asking folks to park on the opposite side of the street for the entire snow season. That starts today through March 15th. Also, recreational vehicles and boats, well, they've got to be moved off the streets into storage. You can find more details on our website, KREM.com.
All right, Tom, speaking of weather, we've made it to Friday. It was kind of touch and go there for a while.
Oh, boy, was it ever.
Here we are. Going to be a little wet this weekend, but also kind of warm, too.
Yeah, temperatures climbing into the low 50s by Sunday. We saw the rain today, but we're going to see dry weather, but damp on Saturday. I think Sunday is going to be the wet day. What's going on here? That's the current temperature, 37 degrees. We should be much warmer than that. We should be in the low to mid 40s right now. And as Mark mentioned, though, I think by the time we get to Sunday, we will see temperatures climb up. So look for an overnight low of 35, so not much cooler than what we're seeing right now. Fog will begin to set up at times in the overnight hours. We'll see some morning fog. Generally cloudy skies expected on your Saturday. I think outlying communities are going to see fog for a lot of the day. Patchy fog, Deer Park, talking about you, Loon Lake, you're going to just see low clouds. But again, highs will be right where they should be in the mid 40s. Here's where it warms up on Sunday. Sunday, I've got rain developing, especially by Sunday night. But we'll look for a daytime high of 52 degrees. We'll show you when we're expecting more wet weather next week with your 7-day outlook coming up in a few minutes.
Even if we get some rain, 52 in mid-November, not bad.
Not bad at all.
Thank you, Tom. Well, the Spokane Police Department is changing its criteria for initiating police chases, and more specifically, removing reckless driving and DUI from the policy. So right now, all police officers are now held accountable to the general order as if it were policy before it goes through the process of becoming policy. So coming up on our 5 o'clock newscast, we'll talk about how this will impact public safety on the roads and why the police department has decided to put the order into place.
A 58-year-old geometry teacher pleaded not guilty yesterday to felony harassment charges. The Pierce County Sheriff's Office says she threatened to kill students at a Puyallup high school. A caseworker reported Julie Hillen-Jones saying she made the threat over the phone.
Hillen-Jones was talking with the caseworker about a recent complaint related to PTSD. When she made the comments, she became upset and said, quote, "I'm going to shoot the kids," unquote. That's according to court documents.
President Trump posted on Twitter during today's impeachment hearing, and in his comments were actually read aloud into testimony. And this was the first time in history that something like this has happened. So now Democrats are accusing the president of witness intimidation for the targeting of the former ambassador to the Ukraine while she was testifying. Mark, you've got more details about this.
Yes, Tom. Former ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, said she was given no reason for her sudden dismissal after 33 years of service.
What the ambassador is doing here today.
What I do wonder is why it was necessary to smear my reputation.
She described a smear campaign against her and said she was appalled after learning that President Trump told Ukraine's leader in a July phone call she was, quote, bad news and was going to go through some things. President Donald Trump doubled down during the hearing, tweeting, "Everywhere Marie Yovanovitch went turned bad."
We take this kind of witness intimidation and obstruction of inquiry very seriously.
The White House, meantime, said it's not intimidation, it's simply the president's opinion. Republicans called the proceeding a farce.
I'm not exactly sure what the ambassador is doing here today. This seems more appropriate for the Subcommittee on Human Resources at the Foreign Affairs.
Just as the hearing began, the White House released a call summary of President Trump's first conversation with the Ukrainian president, which was read on the record. The call was in April, right after the leader was elected, and did not mention investigations or Ambassador Yovanovitch. Also this afternoon, State Department staffer David Holmes testified behind closed doors about a July phone call where he says he overheard President Trump and EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland discuss investigations in Ukraine. Tom?
3 teenagers are recovering after a school shooting in Southern California. Police say the school shooting lasted 16 seconds, killing 2 students and injuring 3 others. All the teenagers went to school together. They were scheduled to be in their first period class when the shooting started. Doctors say the gunman is in the hospital after shooting himself, and the gun control advocacy group Everytown says the shooting is the 85th incident of gun violence at a school this year.
Amazon is responding to safety concerns surrounding its massive fleet of contractor delivery drivers. An ongoing investigation by ProPublica and BuzzFeed News found those drivers have been involved in more than 60 crashes causing injuries or death since June of 2015. Amazon estimates it will have about 50,000 delivery vehicles on the road during the holidays. Chad and Ellen Kennedy's 10-month-old daughter Gabriel was killed in January when a delivery driver hit Ellen's car.
The back seat was sort of pushed up into the front seat and her car seat was tilted, and I couldn't get her out that way.
The driver that hit her car was hauling packages for an Amazon subcontractor. So those contractors are often liable if there's an accident, not Amazon. Despite avoiding liability, Amazon has a tight grip on the operations of day-to-day drivers. The company can even tell drivers to turn left or right on a particular route. As for the Kennedys, the father told us they settled in a suit with the contractor, but they insist that no dollar amount could bring their daughter back. A viral message on Instagram claims to have 9 tips from a cop that could save your life from sex traffickers or serial killers. But some of the tips seem a bit extreme, like crashing your car on purpose.
We've had our Verify team looking into the message to find out if they're legit or not. Here's our Jason Puckett.
This is the post going around Instagram. Sex trafficking is at an all-time high. Here are some safety tips. Then it gives 9 tips that claim to be written by a cop. This isn't a new post. We found articles back to 2001 with the same message word for word, and it started as one of those email chain messages. Now it's back. One post has more than 1 million likes. Let's look at some of the tips. Tip number 9 says a woman heard a baby crying on her porch. Police told her not to open the door because a serial killer was using recorded baby noises to get people to come outside. That never happened. It was a hoax in Louisiana in 2002. Here's number 7. Run anytime a predator has a gun because they'll only hit a moving target 4 in 100 times. There's no evidence to prove whether that number is true. Number 3 says you can kick out a car's taillights to escape from a trunk. The problem there is you can't reach the taillights from the trunk in most cars nowadays. Then there's one that says you should intentionally crash your car if someone with a gun gets in the passenger seat. That might work if you're in a movie, but in real life, it could put you and others in even more danger. Here's the bottom line. We should all be aware of our surroundings, but the best place to get advice on how to be safe is from law enforcement. Many departments have their own social media accounts and often share tips and lessons on how to protect yourself. And they probably won't be sharing outdated tips that started with an email chain letter from about 20 years ago. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett.
All good information, I suppose.
Yeah, it's not Hollywood.
Yeah, right.